I realized I really didn't care much about what they thought anymore, good or bad. I realized my own opinions about myself meant way more to me. Welcome to the Love Your Brain podcast, the podcast designed for everyday people who are ready to hop off the negative thought hamster wheel and enjoy a less hostile environment in their own brains. Our brains are where we live our entire lives, and I'm on a mission to help people see that they have everything they need to make it a happier place to be. So join us for this episode of the Love Your Brain podcast. Let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you. This is actually round 2 of recording this episode this week. The first time I recorded it, my dog was in the background making all kinds of noises, and so I was attempting to very quickly get through the episodes that I could feed her because she was thinking it was time to eat right that second. And I already talk fast. When I actually published that episode, it was like on triple speed. It was terrible. So we're going to give this another go. Okay, so on this week's episode, I'm sharing something I'm really excited about because I think it's something that we all just need more of, and that is hyping up. Do you have someone in your life that's your hype woman or your hype man? Someone that thinks you are truly the best thing since sliced bread? Maybe there's someone that tells you that you're killing it, or when you're having a really hard day and you can't snap out of this negative thought spiral, they're the ones that jump in and remind you that you're magical and everything that you're capable of. Or maybe you are that person for others. When you see someone's down, you love to jump in and hype them up and remind them of everything that they've accomplished and everything that they're capable of and how cool you think they are. I love hyping people up, but what's super crazy is I found over the years the people who love hyping up others really often don't have a ton of other people to hype them up, which is really strange. I'm not sure what that's all about. But today, we are going to solve this issue because we are going to talk about how we can become our own hype woman or hype man. This tip actually came about while I was working on a presentation that I was doing for a conference that was for people in the helping profession, social workers and other people that were on the front lines of helping our communities. This is a conference that I speak at every year. I love doing it. I'm really passionate about it. But I've seen as I've grown and changed as a person over the years, my content and the things that I share with them also grows and evolves. So later on in this episode, I'm going to tell you a little bit more in detail about my own journey with this content. But the idea is that at this conference, I'm trying to help these helping professionals help themselves by finding new ways to fill their own cup so that they can actually have the ability to serve others and not be completely depleted. And the truth is that they often don't always have people in their circle that are hyping them up, that are encouraging them every day. Now, ideally, obviously, we would all love that, but the truth is just sometimes that's just not how it works. So I like to arm them with ways to really be able to encourage themselves. And there's a lot of things that you can do, obviously, to do this, but this is a specific tool that I think has been something that's been super effective. And I'm excited to share about it with you. So the idea is that we are going to do recordings. Those are either voice recordings or video recordings. Either works fine, but I would say if you absorb information better visually, probably a video recording is going to be a better fit for you. But if you absorb things audibly, fine. The audio version, just doing a voice recording is fine too. And there's a couple tools that you can use for these. Like if you have an iPhone, you can use the voice recording app. I'm sure Android has something similar. And then for a video recording, you can just use the video on your phone and you're going to point it towards yourself. And then after the fact, you can always use, there's apps like CapCut. There's quite a few different ones where you can edit videos after the fact, so that might be a helpful tool as well, as I kind of talk to you a little bit more about how you're going to use these recordings. But that's where we're starting. Those are the ways that we're collecting this information. And the idea is that you're going to pay attention to when you're feeling really good about yourself. Maybe it's when you've accomplished something that you've been working a really long time on and you finally got to that end and you're just so proud of yourself for what you've accomplished. Or it could be something super tiny, like you made an amazing cup of coffee that tastes better than what you get at Starbucks, and you're just so jazzed that you were able to do that from your own home. We are going to use all of those moments, big or small. We're going to record all of them. And we're going to be collecting these moments where we're really proud of ourselves or where we just really find out there's something about ourselves that we really like. Maybe it's that you love how frugal you are and how much money you can save. Maybe you were shopping that day and you were able to use two coupons at once and you saved a ton of money and you feel so proud of yourself. Or maybe as a professional, you've been really investing a lot of time and energy into a goal, and you finally got to a place where you're able to see that come full circle, and you're just so proud of yourself. Or it could be something that nobody else really sees. Maybe you were able to enforce a boundary with someone who it's really difficult normally for you to stay firm with them, and today you did it. All of those moments are extremely important. The idea is that we're going to capture those moments where we feel that spike of good, confident feelings about ourselves. And we're going to record a little hype moment. And what we're going to do is we're going to record whatever's going through our brain, but we're going to be saying it out loud. It could be something like maybe we have a scenario where maybe it's another boundary that you put in place. Maybe a previous love interest reaches out to you today and you know that this person isn't healthy for you, that they often take you on a roller coaster of emotions and it never ends up good for you in the end. And so today you decided that you were not going to respond to that text from them. You were going to stay firm and just ignore it. And you're proud of yourself for not taking the bait this time. So you pick up your phone or you can use your computer and you record a little hype message for yourself, whatever's going through your head. It could be something like, girl, look at you go. You did it. You stood firm. You didn't fall for that ridiculous human again. I am so proud of you. You can take on the world now. Keep going because the right person for you is right around the corner. So that's obviously just an example. Use your own flavor of hype, but this really just gives you an idea of how it would work, how this practice would happen. You are recording yourself for that moment when you're actually feeling really, really good and proud of yourself, and you're going to give yourself props in that message, and then you save it. So the keys to remember so far is we're recording either audio or visual, whichever works best for you. And you're doing the recording actually in the moment where you're feeling that energy of being proud of yourself or finding something that you really like about yourself, anything big or small. We're hitting record and we're hyping ourselves up. Okay. So this practice is going to serve a few functions for us. In the moment, it's giving us a better practice of just talking positively to yourself. This is something that everyone needs more of. This is a muscle that we need to flex more frequently. And the more we practice really flexing that muscle of positivity towards ourselves, the stronger it's going to get. And we just have to keep practicing it over and over again. And this is a great way to practice it by recording yourself when you're in the moment, actually audibly saying out loud those things that you're proud of or the things that you like about yourself. It's also going to help us stay in that positive energy a little bit longer. If you've ever had a positive experience happen and then like 2 seconds later something negative happens and it just like zaps that joy for you and you almost forget that anything good even happened, those drive me nuts. We know how quickly we can lose that energy of being positive and excited just because something stupid happened that drove us nuts 5 seconds later, right? So, with this, when we are having that sensation in our body of just being excited for ourselves, proud of ourselves, that we like ourselves, we're bookmarking that moment by sitting in it a little bit longer, recording that message to ourselves. And it really is going to make that emotion and that energy stick a little bit more permanently. It's a little bit harder for it to escape and for that negative thing that comes up later on to steal from us, right? It's going to have to work a little bit harder this time because we've sat on that thought, we've really thought about it, and we've actually audibly said it out loud and we've heard it as well. But most importantly, these recordings that we're making are going to be the things that we go back to when we're in a not so great place mentally. On those days when we think we can't do anything right, everything's going wrong, we can play them back and remind ourselves of everything what we're capable of. And maybe you're someone who you're listening to me right now and you're like, I don't think this is going to work for me. Maybe it won't, but I will tell you that a huge problem I see as human beings trying to reflect on ourselves is we forget so easily the positive attributes about ourselves. They just simply leave our brains way easier than even with other people. We can look at someone else and remember great things they did last week. But when someone asks us about ourselves, what great thing did you do last week? Heck, if I can remember, right? And when we listen or watch these recordings that we've made, it really helps remind us and it helps us snap back into the energy and the vibration that we had in that moment. And that's going to be so important because on those days when you're really struggling, when you listen or watch yourself get excited or pumped about something that you did, it's going to be really hard to stay in that negative place because your body and your energy is almost going to want to match that energy that you had before. So it's going to be a really powerful tool for you. And maybe you're wondering, why don't you just write these things down in a journal? We know how effective it is to write things down and how it can really help us remember and all of that. And yes, that's a great practice. If that's something you're already doing, keep doing it if it's working for you. But there's something really important that I want to share with you that I think is something that not a lot of people talk about, and that's the energy of receiving. So when you're writing something down and you have to go back and you read it, it's almost like you're putting effort into drawing that positive energy from that memory. But when all you have to do is you just sit back and you push play and you listen or you watch, it puts you in this posture of receiving that is really powerful. And that's kind of what we get when we get it from other people, right? Is we don't have to do anything. They simply say the thing to us and we sit there and we receive it. And in general, in life, a lot of us really need to be practicing this posture more, this posture of receiving. So many of us think that for everything good, there must be a lot of effort. And that's just simply not true. And we just need to practice it more, to practice the art of receiving. And if it's not coming from other people, we can develop tools like this where we can provide it for ourselves. It can be really transformational for our brains overall. Okay, so we've gone over the basic practice. But if this is something that you think sounds cool and you want to try, and you think maybe you want to take it a step further, I have another idea. Have you ever tried listening to recorded meditations or positive affirmations? I know I have. They can be great, amazing tools. But a lot of people I talk to say that they don't work well for them because they don't really believe what they're listening to. They don't believe those affirmations, especially when you're struggling with negative self image. Listening to affirmations where they say, you're amazing, you're perfect, yada, 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 it can be really hard to believe. And although I do think with lots of repetitions, hearing these things over and over again can change your brain, they can change those neural pathways, and your brain can actually start to change how it operates. I do think that's true. I think that if you have the ability to use your own language and your own energy and your own beliefs, that can also be really powerful because you did have that thought about yourself at one point, and now you're just tapping back into it again. So, just another option. Again, you can use one of those apps that I talked about and just compile all those audio recordings or compile all your video recordings and create a little folder for you to use. And you can use it in a daily practice if that's what you want to do, where you sit down every day and you start your day by listening to you get excited about all the things that you've done. And I don't know, I think it can be a really cool thing to try. So, that is the tool in a nutshell. But I do want to circle back to that conference I was preparing for. And the reason why I want to circle back is because I want to share with you a little bit of my own personal story as to why this practice became important to me and the whole idea of hyping yourself up, why that became an important concept for me. So before I used to share about this tool, there was a previous tool that I would share with people. And I thought it was a great idea. And it worked for me for a lot of years until it failed me. And the idea that I used to share was I would collect all these positive things that people would say about me on a bulletin board in my office. And I would print out like really kind emails people would send me or messages that I got from clients thanking me for helping them, or when someone would send me an encouraging card telling me all the things they liked about me or appreciated about me. I would put them all on this bulletin board in my office. And on the days when I felt like nothing was going right and I was failing in every way possible, I would look at that bulletin board and I would see all these people think I'm really great. Clearly, I'm doing something right, even though today I don't really feel like it. And this was really powerful for me. It helped really pull me out of a negative thought spiral. And so I would encourage others in the helping profession to do the same thing because I really did think it helped people stay in a positive headspace. Um, and I'll be honest, I still think it's a great tool for some people. Just for me on my journey, the universe decided to teach me a really big lesson, a difficult lesson, and that's what transformed this tool for me. So, this all occurred during a time when I was going through a season where my relationship with some of the people on my bulletin board started to change. Not really my clients necessarily, but more so the people that I had respected that once spoke highly of me, or family or friends that had previously hyped me up. I was personally going through a transition where I was putting more boundaries in place. I was being firm. I was doing a lot less people pleasing, all in an effort to really work on being more authentic to me. The truth is, some people did not like that version of me. And if you've listened to a previous podcast episode about our pillars of belief, you may have heard a bit about this experience. I really just started to feel hurt by others' responses to what I felt like were positive changes I was making in my life. Being more authentic to me, taking better care of myself, having better boundaries. I really thought what I was doing was good, but the response I was getting back from some of the people in my circle was not positive. And then when I would look at my bulletin board that used to give me encouragement, it started to give me a weird feeling. I would question if those people still even thought those things about me anymore. And some of the things on the board just lost their importance. They lost their significance because some of those messages were from people who I really didn't respect any longer. And I had a huge light bulb moment happen. It really changed the course for me, not just when it came to the bulletin board, but in life in general. I realized I no longer wanted others' thoughts about me to be the thing that kept me grounded. I didn't even want those positive things others thought about me to define who I thought I was. I wanted to start trusting my thoughts about myself, and I wanted those thoughts about me to be my foundation. I wanted to just start building trust in that what I think about myself is true. I wanted to start collecting positive things about myself from here on out. Because people outside of myself are going to change a million times over. Not to mention, when my relationship changed with some of them, I realized I really didn't care much about what they thought anymore, good or bad. I realized my own opinions about myself meant way more to me. So I put in the time, I started working on my relationship with myself, making sure that I felt good about myself and keeping track of the positive things I thought about myself. I think a lot of people overcomplicate this whole concept of improving your relationship with yourself. There's a million things you can try. There's so many things. Really, that's all it is just trying some of them. And maybe for you, it just starts with making a recording of those times you catch yourself actually liking yourself or thinking you did something cool and not letting yourself forget it. So, as I was preparing for this most recent conference and providing tools for others, I presented this idea I shared with you today. Because what I previously taught didn't really seem to be the best advice I could provide anymore. And what I felt like needed more than anything was what I think we all need, which is a better relationship with ourselves. to learn to hype ourselves up more, to clock when we think we did something great. Because here's the other unique thing about doing this for yourself is you're the only one who really knows what it took to get you to where you are now, right? What it took you to get to the peak of that mountain. You're the only one that knows your personal journey. And no one else can know what you had to push past to get you the victory except for you. So maybe this tool will help you. Or maybe it just creates some space in your brain today to start thinking about the things that you really like about you. In the end, I hope you remember what the most important opinions are the ones you have about yourself. Have a great week, guys. I hope you found something helpful here today on the Love Your Brain podcast. Maybe a laugh or a feeling of validation, or maybe just a few moments to have company while you do your laundry. Whatever you take from it, I hope you enjoyed your time and leave feeling empowered to be more you every day. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on the next episode, and leave a review. I'd love to hear what you think. Have a great one.